May 31st, 2005, I was raided by the Bureau of Land Management. 21 agents with machine guns and sawed-off shotguns and riot gear swarmed my town of Gary, Montana, here located on the Custer battlefield. And I was raided over 2 buttons and a suspender buckle that they came here and sold me. And during the raid, they took down one of my museum interns with a machine gun to the back of his head, spread eagle on the ground, and they basically were here terrorizing us for 11 hours.
When that took place, Chris, they came in here under the authority, if you will, of a Federal Antiquities Act or some other thing, of theft of artifacts or something. Is that what they're driving?
No, when they lied to the federal judge, they said that I tried to sell a button with false provenance. That was the application for the search warrant. That was the probable cause.
Oh, okay. So,
but they came to my property and sold me the button. It's not like...
Wow.
Yeah. So, and entrapment can't be entrapment unless you're charged with the crime. So I was never charged with the crime, so it's not entrapment.
Right.
So they ended up having the search warrant for the wrong locations. So I, being the good citizen and knowing better as a former Montana law enforcement officer, I signed a general consent for them to search my buildings.
Mm-hmm. Nothing to hide and doing the right thing?
Nobody should ever do that.
I think that's...
Even if you have nothing to hide, never give away something that is guaranteed by the Constitution when you don't receive anything back in return. There's no reason to waive your right without a warrant.
Absolutely.
So I did that. I was pressured into it. The federal agent, Brian Cornell, told me that I would get more years in the federal prison by the federal judge by upsetting him if they would have to go back to Billings to get another search warrant.
The system, protecting the system for that same system.
So I signed a general consent. They left here with 1,228 items instead of 2 buttons and a suspender buckle, because I signed a general consent.
Wow.
And then they terrorized me over the next...
Excuse me, did they bring them other artifacts back?
Well, it took me 10 years to get them back.
10 years to get those artifacts back.
And spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. Keep in mind, I was never indicted, never charged with the crime. I don't even have a speeding ticket on my record, let alone a misdemeanor or felony. Nothing. So I decided to write a book, Arrow to the Heart, The Last Battle at the Little Bighorn, the Custer Battlefield Museum versus the federal government. Well, actually, we have a cover of this book.
Yeah,
here.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah.
And to tell the story, somebody leaked a 56-page document to me from the federal government connecting the Gibson guitar raid, the Custer Battlefield Museum raid, and the blending.
We've all heard about the guitar raid across this country.
Yep, that was over exotic wood. On guitars, the fingerboards. So, unfortunately, I was, somebody leaked a document to me connecting all the raids. And that's the foundation of the book, Arrow to the Heart. And the connection for all the raids were so the Bureau of Land Management could justify their existence, because after 9/11 happened, President Bush developed the Patriot Act. And the Patriot Act militarized, quasi-militarized each police department for the Secretary of the Cabinet of the President of the United States. Meaning, the head of EPA, the head of Bureau of Land Management, Department of the Interior, Department of Education, National Oceanographic, they all got their own federal police department because of the Patriot Act. So before 9/11, we had about 8,900 sworn armed federal law enforcement officers, FBI, DEA, U.S. Marshals. Now we're approaching 89,000 armed federal agents policing basically the citizens of the United States.
The police state, in a nutshell, is what we're looking at.
89,000 federal police.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because every year they get appropriated in front of Congress to get their money. BLM budgets $1.4 billion a year. Their law enforcement division is $261 million a year. That's $250 million for 211 agents. $250 million for 211 agents every 12 months. Every 12 months. So for them to justify getting that appropriation October 31st for the fiscal year of the United States, when it ends, is October 31st, they have to go in front of Congress and get that appropriation. So William Woody, who is the chief law enforcement officer for the Department of the Interior Federal Law Enforcement, ordered his agents to go out and target high-profile people to raid so they would get national publicity so they could justify
that funding.
Justify that funding. That's the common denominator for all these raids. Money, money.
Has anything in your view, and following this as close as you have, Chris, have you seen any change in atmosphere or the attitude since Ryan Zinke took over as a Department of Interior? Or is it, do you think it's maybe business as usual? Do you think, I guess maybe the nuts of the question would be, do you believe that we need to put the heat on Mr. Zinke to pay more attention to really what's going on here?
I think he's becoming.
He knows?
I think he knows. I sent him a book. I have a handwritten note from him about the book that he wrote me. So this just came about a month, June 13th.
Okay.
So who knows if he has time to read it, but with me being so vocal about this since the book's come out, I'm sure he knows something of the Bureau of Land Management's out of control. But I don't know for sure.
And I think that's part of our job, is to make sure that we keep that spotlight on the truth, so that you know he's in a charge. He's in a position where he could make a difference, and I think that's important. For
he should
people of Montana.
He should put me in charge of Bureau of Land Management law enforcement.
That would probably clean things up pretty fast, wouldn't it?
That would clean things up pretty fast without me being a fanatic.
Mm-hmm.
But these federal agents that think they're GOD when they get this little gold badge, if they still want to be a federal agent, stick them in ICE or Border Patrol where they can go flex their muscle against our enemies, but not against U.S. citizens. Not against U.S. citizens.